Well, Sabbath greetings, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well this week. I do want to try to get through another proverb. I've actually kind of went through the ones I haven't done yet, and we'll get to Proverbs 7 here in just a minute. But I hope you had a great week. Oh boy, it's getting interesting around here. Well, it's just very busy, and now we've got a sign up in the yard because our lease agreement allows them to start showing the house even up to 60 days before we move, and of course we're well beyond that at this point. But so we've had a lot of people, scheduling showings and appointments, and when they do, we have to leave. So we're trying to be as accommodating as we can because the landlord has been so good to us. So it's been a little hectic this week as we have had quite a few people walking through the house, and we have to make other plans when that happens. So anyway, it's working out very well. Also had kind of a run of go-tos here in the Milwaukee area, so that's kind of exciting. And I've been talking to some folks around here. I've invited at least one. I tried to get a hold of another one and haven't talked to her yet, but we'll see. But be praying about that. Certainly want to pray for all of those that are interested and reaching out the go-to situation. But let's try to get through. I'll have some other, other news coming out in the announcements here pretty soon. But I don't want to say it publicly here. But I'll give an update on some of the situations going on around the area. But Proverbs, I want to look at Proverbs 7. Proverbs 7 this week. My son, keep my words and treasure my commands within you. Keep my commands and live, and my law as the apple of your eye. Well, this has always been a very interesting idiom. It shows up several times this in verse 2 here, the apple of your eye. First of all, there's again a family connection here. My son, keep my words, treasure my commands within you. So again, there's two relationships going on here. The parents who are first of all teaching their children, making sure that they're giving them the right instruction in life, and then to the children or the sons and daughters to actually keep those words, to live by them, not to ignore them, but to listen to them and live by them, make them a treasure within their very being. We can't do that for them, but as parents we have the responsibility to teach them, and then the children have the responsibility of actually acting on those things as they get older. Keep my commands and live. So again, it provides life for the people who will keep them. And my law is the apple of your eye. The apple of your eye really has nothing to do with an apple. The idiom in the original Hebrew, it just means literally the little man of the eye. So the dark part of the eye, or the little man, what it is referring to is the reflection that you can see when you're looking at someone. You can see like almost like a puppet or a marionette image of that person in the other person's eye. You can see a reflection of yourself in that person's eye when you're looking at them in the eye. So the idea is you can think about it for yourself, but think about what he might be talking about there. He says, my law is the apple of your eye. You know, the dark part, or the image that is seen in your eye. So in order to have that image in your eye, you would have to be looking at the other image or the other person. God says, you're the apple of my eye. He speaks of his people as the apple of his eye. In other words, that's the image that he's seeing. We have to be looking at him in order for him, to have that reflection in the other person's eye. So the idea here is that we have to have our eyes focused on God's law, and that be reflecting in our lives and how we live our lives. And the way we act and the way we live then is a reflection of God's view and what he does and what he sees. He'll be, we'll be the apple of his eye because he's looking at us, we're looking at him. And that's the reflection that's coming back because he's looking on us, and he looks on those who are humble, who tremble at his word. It's on that person that he looks. So if he's looking on that person, we're looking at him, he's looking at us. So interesting to think about this Sabbath, but we'll go on here in verse 3. Bind them on your fingers, write them on the tablet of your heart. So what you do with your hands, get busy doing God's work. and write them on the tablet of your heart. It needs to be on the inside. It can't be just a surface thing. It has to be in the very depths of our being and in our hearts. Say to wisdom, you're my sister. Wisdom is a sister, somebody that you protect, somebody that you look on as very important. But that's something we're to do to wisdom. It's something that we're very careful about. Call understanding your nearest kin. Just interesting how these things come about, how the wording is for some of these things. That they may keep you from the immoral woman, from the seductress who flatters with her words. You know, this society is just filled with sexual immorality. Sadly, there was an article in the Journal Sentinel, and it kind of went national. It was, you know, on at least Fox News, I know that, and maybe other sources that picked it up. But Milwaukee is at an epidemic level of STDs. They're multiplying, and sadly, it's HIV and syphilis that are really at an alarming rate that those things are growing, those types of STDs, and the public health officials are very concerned because the ones that it's affecting in large part are the younger crowd, even the high school students and that type of thing. And that was a Milwaukee statistic and epidemic. So, you know, this is very important to understand that we've got to keep control of the mind, and starting at a very young age, we have to be careful what our kids are being subjected to, or you know, be careful to teach them about the right views of the opposite sex and the right view of that kind of activity, and when it's appropriate and when it's not, and to train them to guard their minds from that, because that, you know, it takes wisdom, and we have to impart that kind of wisdom to our children, and understanding that kind of wisdom and understanding will keep them from immorality, whether it be the immoral woman or the immoral man, whichever applies. Verse 6, for at the window of my house I looked through my lattice and saw among the simple, I perceived among the youths a young man devoid of understanding, passing along the street near her corner. That's what we're seeing today. So many that just are misusing something that was meant to be beautiful and meant to be a wonderful thing, but only for those that are married in that relationship. That sounds old school to these people out there, but they're the ones dealing with syphilis and HIV and all kinds of other STDs. And if they'd read this book and understand that wisdom and understanding involves keeping yourself from immorality. And he says here, I perceived among the youths a young man devoid of understanding, who's going after the immoral woman, going after this cheap form of sex that hurts and destroys in many more ways than one. In the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night, some of these things that are done in you know, at night, that are evil and wrong, and they hurt people. And there a woman met him with the attire of a harlot and a crafty heart. She was loud and rebellious. The kind of woman who's loud and rebellious. Her feet would not stay at home. At times she was outside, at times in the open square, lurking at every corner. So she caught him and kissed him. With an impudent face she said to him, I have peace offerings with me. Today I have paid my vows, so I came out to meet you, diligently to seek your face, and I have found you. I have spread my bed with tapestry, colored coverings of Egyptian linen. I've perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come and let us take our fill of love until morning. Let us delight ourselves with love, for my husband is not at home. You see, you know, what kind of a seductress is this? And how many, you know, young men especially that are taken in by this type of, you know, because it's, you know, it's playing on the natural urges and desires that are built into us to be used at the right time and in the right way. But Satan has found a way to bring this into society like it's just an everyday thing, that people are acting like just so many animals out there. And you know, this is the kind of stuff that's going on. You know, come over, look, I've got it all set up, we're just going to have all kinds of fun. Won't that be wonderful? And here, how many times is she doing this with how many different men while her husband's away? And right now, we have the fruits of that. It's disease. It's an epidemic level in a lot of places, and it's getting worse all the time. My husband's gone away. He's on a long journey. He's taken a bag of money with him and will come home on the appointed day. So I'm keeping track of when he's going to come home. The house is empty. Come on over and we'll play. But this is saying, no, don't give in to that kind of thing. With her enticing speech, she caused him to yield. With her flattering lips, she seduced him. And this could be, the other way around as well. A man enticing a woman, or a woman enticing a man. Immediately went in after her, as an ox goes to the slaughter. And that's exactly what this is leading to today with these people that are dealing with things that are just horrific. All because they don't have any self-control. They've given in to this flattery and seduction. Whereas a fool to the correction of the stocks, till an arrow struck his liver, as a bird hastens to the snare. He did not know it would cost his life. And some of these people are finding out with HIV/AIDS that it's costing them their lives. And syphilis and all these other things that are just horrible when you know what these people are dealing with when they get these awful diseases. So we teach our children in wisdom and understanding. We teach them the right and proper use of sex. It's so important as parents that we don't let them learn somewhere else. They need to learn from us at an appropriate age. And we tell them, how it works and what to look out for and all these types of things so that they're not learning it somewhere else. In verse 24, now therefore listen to me, my children. Pay attention to the words of my mouth. Do not let your heart turn aside to her ways. Do not stray into her paths, for she has cast down many wounded. And all who were slain by her were strong men. Strong men. That's the great equalizer when it comes to the natural human desires and how men are made and how our minds work. Many strong men have fallen for these things. So we have to be wise and have an understanding heart so that we can avoid this type of seduction and this type of situations, either as men or women, that would lead us to immorality. Her house is the way to hell, to the grave, descending to the chambers of death. So make no mistake about it. There is a right and proper use of sex, and then there's another way that leads to destruction and even to death. So we have to be very, very aware of that, no matter what age we are. But certainly as parents, we need to be teaching our children so they can have the right approach at a very young age, so they don't get into that situation where it's going to be harder for them down the line whenever they are thinking about marriage and dating and that sort of thing. Well, that's Proverbs 7, and I hope you all have a tremendous Sabbath rest. We look forward to seeing the Appleton gang this Sabbath. We haven't really stuck to the schedule much since we're moving and everything. We're trying to get around and visit as best we can with the limited amount of time we have left, and the fact that we're leading up to the holy days. So I hope everyone's preparations for the holy days, the mental preparation, spiritual preparation, probably a little too early yet to clean for the holy days and to de-leaven, but it won't be long, and we'll be thinking about that. So I hope you all have a tremendous Sabbath. I love you all, and we'll be talking to you again real soon. Have a wonderful Sabbath.